Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to 7 family restaurant chains I only encountered after moving to America, and this is the second to last day of doing reactions. We're so close, or I'm so close to getting done with reactions. I've pretty much got videos for every day other than like 1 or 2 days I think that's going to be, which is pretty perfect if you ask me. But yeah, we're going to see what fast food chains will be here, because I'm not too sure what will be mentioned, because I done a reaction a few days ago too. Well, I don't know, yesterday, but you're going to be watching the reaction like a week after, and that was fast food restaurants. But family restaurant chains, maybe when I see them pop up I'll have heard of them, but I can't really think off the top of my head what will be here. And I mean, that's pretty much it. We're going to check this out and see some of these. I am pretty hungry right now, so it will probably make me a bit hungry, but yeah, let's just check this out and see some of these fast food chains, or these family restaurant chains.
Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to restaurants, specifically the kind of restaurants that might be referred to as casual or family or sit-down restaurants. Depending on how good your short-term memory is, you may recall that I did a similar video for fast food in the distant past of 4 days ago. You may also recall that 57 years ago, at the beginning of 2020, restaurants were something that most of us did. And hopefully that my talking about them will convince your stomach to be hungry and to call in delivery and to support these and other restaurants as well as their staff during the pandemic. That said, I find myself in the awkward position of doing this video while being about as much a fan of chain restaurants as I was of chain mail circa 1998. Give me a unique independent restaurant with an owner that looks like Don Corleone any day of the week. It's just that when I first moved here, I moved to a town whose only...
Not this town again. I'm so tired of this town from the last reaction that I've done.
Restaurants were chains. So if you can't be asked to cook, which is every day, then those were your only options. And in general, it just makes sense for me to do this video. On the one hand, Americans will get to learn which of their sit-down restaurants are unique to the United States. And on the other hand, any British people thinking of eventually moving to America for love will get to see which restaurants they'll be forced to dine at when a spouse's cousin they've never heard of graduates. And so this video is all about sit-down restaurant chains I never encountered until I moved to America. Now here's an Uncle Toby caveat. You might be expecting the likes of Perkins, Denny's and the Ponderosa.
I've heard of Denny's. That's the only one I've heard of.
But those three in particular will not be making today's list, not because I experienced them in Britain, but because I ate at all three when I went on holiday to Florida when I was 8. I was with my parents. I didn't come on my own. And so, and this is not a comprehensive list, let's take a look at 7 sit-down restaurants that I only encountered after moving to America, ranked from worst to best.
Okay, so that's your ranking then. Cracker Barrel.
Oh, Cracker Barrel, what are we going to do with you? It's not that the food is bad. I like southern country food. You know, once I worked out that biscuit isn't the same thing as it is in Britain, and that gravy here is some kind of spicy cream. No, it's...
I just learned about that food as well.
Not so much the food, it's that Cracker Barrel treats its customers like I treat my cat. And I don't mean they pet everyone, that would be bloody weird. I mean they make you work for your food by dangling toys in front of your face. You have to squeeze through the sea of merchandise just to get seated. And that's after you've already been tempted by the rocking chairs. I don't know whether to go there to eat food or to knit. Now I do like that every table has those little games with the pegs. I think it's to distract you from the decor. But look, this is just an opinion. If you love eating southern country food and tacky wooden birds, then this is the place for you. Don't eat the birds. That was just a poorly constructed sentence.
I've heard of IHOP, but I didn't know it was a food place. I thought it was just a store. I don't know what I thought it was, but I've heard of it and I don't know at all what it is until now. It's a restaurant chain. It's a weird name for a restaurant chain. What does it stand for?
To popular belief, IHOP is not an Apple product or a song by the Seven Dwarfs. It stands for International House of Pancakes, and because of that, you'd expect that this would be the one on the list that I would have encountered in Britain.
A pancake place. I've never been to a pancake place in my life. And that's because we don't have them here. A place that solely sells pancakes. I've gone to a Waffle House, which is like, you'll have waffles with like savoury foods, and that is amazing. Will IHOP have savoury pancakes as well? I assume it does, right? If it's a pancake-based restaurant, it's gonna surely have all types of pancakes.
And while IHOP has gone international in the Middle East, it's yet to set foot in Britain. And this is because A, restaurants don't have feet, and B, the British only eat pancakes once a year. What? Whoa, back up there. Like, what are you talking about? That's right. Sure, there'll be some British people that eat it more regularly. Uncle Toby comes to mind. But on the whole, British people reserve their...
Who is Uncle Toby? Is it actually his uncle? I always hear it and I'm always like, who the hell is this guy?
pancake eating festivities for Pancake Day, otherwise known as Shrove Tuesday. And in America, they do things a little bit differently. Here, Mardi Gras is sort of a de facto Pancake Day, along with all of the other days of the year. And so IHOP, much like the iPod, is often full. And this is my chief complaint. Actually, with all of the entries on this list, I don't like crowds. Quarantine was made for me, unlike pancakes. That was a joke about how pancakes are never made for me because I never request them. I've just never been a huge fan of pancakes. I'm not a fan cake. Can we get that in the dictionary? No? Okay.
They're not really a food that I would choose to eat. I mean, I'll have them and they're fun when you have them, right? But I don't. Firstly, they're an absolute pain in the ass to make. Even when you've got the mixture there, it's just an absolute mess to make. But they're good when you have them, and I like them sometimes with pudding after I have dinner. I probably once a year we'll have them. Like he said, we'll like be feeling a bit generous, and we'll make pancakes and have like with like strawberries and chocolate, Nutella and stuff, and all this kind of stuff. But Bob Evans.
Bob Evans. I've been there approximately 2.5 times. I once used it for just the toilet. And even though it does itself draw in the breakfast crowds, not to be confused with the Breakfast Club, I do marginally prefer it to IHOP, and that's probably because pancakes are a choice, not a threat. But this is one of those restaurants that I discovered today is mostly a Midwest or a Mid-Atlantic thing. You won't find too many Bob Evans in the mountains of Utah. But if you like your breakfasts or lunch or dinner with meat and potatoes, as chains go, you can't go wrong with a bit of Bobby E. That's my nickname for him, nobody else's. And just in case the owners of Bob Evans are watching, send me a private message. I've developed a proposal for an upscale version. I'm calling it Robert Evans Senior.
What? Texas Roadhouse.
Texas Roadhouse, an established...
The sound of that, I think I like it just because Texas, I always relate to barbecue, and I think that's just already a match made in heaven.
Bearing the theme of Texas that serves steaks and not roads. And during those early months of living in the US, I continually confused Texas Roadhouse with Lone Star Steak and Saloon. And I was today years old when I discovered that the latter has since gone defunct. I don't know why I'm happy about that. Sorry to all of the staff. But it means I can now move on with my life and base all of my assumptions about Texas on just one restaurant. And it's a restaurant headquartered in Kentucky that I've only done once in Indiana. I think it was my birthday or someone's graduation. The two blur together the older you get. If it was my birthday, I had no say in this, or it was literally the best option. But my memory of the experience is a good one. I liked the steak, I liked the wine. I think it was darkly lit, and I like that most of the time. I've since been to about 100 independent steakhouses here in the United States, and in almost every case, they've been superior.
I'm not gonna lie, I know I said I like the idea of Texas food just in general is nice, but I'm not a fan of steak. I've tried it multiple times. It's just everyone loves steak. It's like the number one meat for so many people. I just don't get that. I really am not a fan. I don't know what it is about it. It's just, I mean, people say it'll be soft. You'll get it cooked medium rare or whatever. I get confused. Basically, when it's the least cooked or near the least cooked, it's a lot more soft. To me, it's not. It's still too chewy, and I don't know what like people enjoy it for. But again, people love it, and I'm just obviously very weird for not liking it. But
and any exceptions to that can rightly be referred to as a mistake. Sorry.
I have heard of this one.
Applebees, again, not to be confused with Apple. Tim Cook doesn't employ little worker bees to do the circuitry yet. Although with the last name Cook, I always imagine how hilarious it would have been if he'd have gone into the restaurant business. Imagine the marketing opportunities if he opened a restaurant called the Three Tims with Tim Curry and Tim Rice. Applebees is not that. While I used to shed about 1,200 British pounds at the Apple store, I always leave Applebees about 12 pounds heavier. But I can largely tolerate Applebees, mostly for its atmosphere. Something you should know about me is that I actually don't mind crowds too much if I'm really drunk. That's been my experience at Applebee's. The volume level is as large as the portions. Although last time I was there I had to complain to management because whoever was in charge of the music let Nickelback happen. All that aside, Applebee's is another place that's gone international in the Middle East again.
Really?
I forgot to mention a moment.
It's so weird how they've gone to the Middle East, but then they've just skipped over the UK, which I know it's not like it's going to come to the UK, but I just thought the number one place they'd try it would be somewhere in Europe, but now they're going straight to the Middle East, and I guess they're quite popular there.
That surprisingly, that's also true of Texas Roadhouse. There are 3 countries in the world with United in the title. You'd think the United States and the United Arab Emirates would share with the United Kingdom. It's okay, we have plenty of good restaurants of our own. I'm just trolling.
Red Lobster. Isn't there a film called Red Lobster? I swear I watched the film called Red Lobster really recently. Or The Lobster. No, it's just called The Lobster.
Yes, Red Lobster. This one was always going to get lost in the pond because lobsters are found at sea. And Red Lobster's pretty good.
I don't like lobster, to be fair, so this wouldn't be my number one place. I don't really like... I like salmon and tuna, but that's about it when it comes to seafood, to be honest. So I'm not really the biggest fan.
It's not just lobster, it's seafood in general. And I'm a bit of a maverick when it comes to Red Lobster. I always go for the least obvious thing on the menu. Fish and chips, usually. And they absolutely stuff you with biscuits. Again, not digestives, but bread rolls. And when I say stuff you, I'm not being literal. The staff are pretty good about keeping their hands to themselves. Now, to any of my British viewers, the portions at this place are almost as big as the prices. So you won't be eating there every day, otherwise you'll die. You might go there for a special occasion, a birthday, an anniversary, but definitely not graduations. Students can't afford it. And it almost doesn't matter which state you're living in because all but about...
It's even in Canada. Damn. Look how many in Florida as well. Jeez.
About 5 boast a Red Lobster. And once again, you'll also find them overseas. In Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and not the United...
What the? That's so weird how they've translated to there.
Kingdom.
Olive Garden.
A restaurant that specialises in Italian-American cuisine. The Olive Garden sometimes gets...
I like the look of it though. This looks like it's going to be in like the middle of the wilderness, or like inside, near a woodland or something like that. It fits in well.
It's a bad reputation, and I can't remember why. To me, it's the classy one. If you close your eyes, you feel like you're in the Mediterranean, but in the Matrix with Frank Sinatra and American accents. It's nothing like the Mediterranean, but it is nice. It has a good atmosphere. Amazing breadsticks. How in 5 years have I not spoken on this channel about Olive Garden breadsticks? They are to die for. And the other food is nice too. Again, an array of seafood and pasta dishes. Good. Now, it could be that my glowing review of the Olive Garden is heavily influenced by wine. Definitely is. But did I mention their breadsticks, which don't have any salt on them, and I'm definitely not the person to seek for dietary facts. Again, Britain has no shortage of Italian-themed restaurants, but it has a nice round number of Olive Gardens. 0. To be fair, it hasn't got an international presence in general, except in the Middle East.
What?
That's it for this.
What? That's so weird how they've all, like, so many have translated to the Middle East. I was surprised that there wasn't as much love for cheddar biscuits as there was for the breadsticks. Those biscuits are addictive. I never realised as an American our culture is hilarious. I'm so baffled as to like why the Middle East has like welcomed all these places, but the UK or Europe hasn't seemed to have not done that. But maybe it's because places like Italy and France, for example, will just have their own restaurants and they're known for their food. But the UK, we're not really the best with food, so it's a bit of a surprise. But yeah, this is an interesting look into some fast food chains. I know a few of them, but definitely nowhere near as much as the fast food chains. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed, and let me know your favorite out of one of these, or maybe it's one that's not been mentioned because there's probably so many options that you can have. But yeah, that's that, and until next time, like, subscribe.